Hello maths fans, welcome to a special episode of Maths Speed Dating here in the library tower at St Edmund Hall. You may have noticed I am once again joined by the brilliant Po-Shen Loh, back by popular demand. You all enjoyed our first conversation in Heidelberg so much we decided to meet up again in Oxford this time and record another video for all of you. And this time I'm introducing Po to Maths Speed Dating. So the regular viewers of the channel may be aware of what this is, hopefully, if you have seen any of these videos before. But just as a reminder and to share it with both Po and the new viewers to the channel, the way this works is you're going to roll a die.
Okay.
I believe is non-biased, although there appears to be data to suggest it might be biased.
Oh, okay, this will be fun. Okay.
We'll see. So you roll the die, and then if you roll a 1 or a 2, you will draw at random a question from the maths pot.
Okay.
So this is maths / outreach / YouTube. It's things related to sort of, let's say, your job in here. If you roll a 3 or a 4, we come to the general pot.
Okay.
So these are general questions about yourself, your interests. You know, it might be something like, tell us about a hobby or a sport you enjoy. That kind of thing, just to get to know a little bit more about yourself outside of work.
Okay.
And then, if we have a 5 or a 6, we go to the pot labeled fun, because obviously the others couldn't possibly be fun.
So general is not fun?
Exactly.
We'll find out. Wait. We have a problem. Math and fun are separate?
I know, it's okay. Unfortunately, I regret the labels I chose.
I see.
But we're stuck with them.
Oh, no problem. Okay.
It's math, general, and the fun ones.
Yeah.
And this is where the speed dating comes in.
Okay.
So they are questions taken from speed dating websites as suggested questions you might ask somebody in a speed dating situation. So for example, they might be something like, if you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Okay.
So it's kind of like, it's getting to know you and your personality a little bit, but they are, as I've said, a little bit more fun, a little bit more off the wall.
Sure.
Not your standard question.
So I'm surprised that website has maths questions as well.
No, so the maths ones came from me. The general ones were taken from speed dating websites, as were the fun ones. So yeah, anything in the first part, you can blame me if you don't like the question. The other two, I take no responsibility for.
Okay, very good, very good. Sounds good.
So that's it. So if you're happy with the rules, we will roll the die, we will ask you questions, we will see what happens.
All right, let's find out. What have we here? 3.
3.
Okay.
So what we will do is I will take the lid off, but then you will pick the paper. So you are
stacked in some way. We'll find out. Is this one?
That is one.
This is one.
That is one.
Okay.
Responsible for your own choices here. Okay, it's a good one to start with. Do you have any hidden talents?
I don't know. I don't really like to talk about talents, but I'll tell you a thing I do. I often will go into schools and stand in front of children who are about 11 years old, and I'm usually introduced as the supply teacher or the substitute teacher to just teach them mathematics. And I do this to be undercover so that I can understand all of the different kinds of people who live on Earth.
Yeah.
And one of the things I always enjoy is since the students don't know anything about me and they haven't seen me on YouTube before, I always enjoy when sometimes someone asks me, have you graduated from university yet?
Yeah.
So that's the closest to hidden in the sense that the
that's
undercover
really
disguise still works.
Yeah.
I usually can't dress quite as formally, right? But I really, really enjoy that because then it lets you understand what people might actually care about. Because if you tell them that you're a professor at Oxford or at Cambridge or something, they'll look at you differently.
Yeah, and so is that the idea there, is you want that kind of real response?
Oh, yeah. Because I'm trying to find ways to get many, many people to be interested in and really good at mathematics. But the only way to do that is to find out what they actually care about.
Okay. So we could say your hidden talent is you hide all of your academic talents.
Everything. Yeah. And they always say, I always ask them, introduce me as Mr. Po. Yeah. So even if they Google it, you won't find anything. And definitely no Dr. Loh, just Mr. Po. So if Mr. Po comes to substitute teach in your class someday, I guess you'll know.
You've given the game away now.
Given the game away.
Okay, good. That's an excellent start. All right, let's go again.
Here we go.
We just keep going until we get bored or run out of questions.
Oh, so I see this. It's another 4. It's a 4. So we're back to general.
We do indeed.
Okay. Is this one? This looks like it's one.
Yeah. As you can tell, I got Yeah, the effort I put into creating these. Okay, what type of music do you listen to?
Oh, so right now my playlist is entirely American country music.
Okay, and is that not normal then? I remember,
Well,
the way you said that was as though
right
this was a
now-
recent development.
Okay, well, right now it's more as of probably about 3 years ago. I started to do this, and actually it's related to being Mr. Po on the road. So I travel all over the United States in the summer.
Yeah.
By car often, going from city to city to city, giving mathematics talks. And when I started doing this about 4 years ago, I started in 2021. The car that I rented, I didn't know how to use this Apple CarPlay or what. I didn't really know you could connect your phone or something. I just listened to the radio. And as I was driving through some parts of the United States, I started to notice that in different parts of the country, people listen to different kinds of music.
Of course.
And I also have an interest in understanding people and understanding culture. So I happen to be in a university in the northern part of the United States, Carnegie Mellon University, and I didn't completely understand the culture of the American South. So I just started listening to country music. And nowadays, a lot of the outreach that I'm working on, in fact, last Friday, I was teaching in a school in rural Oklahoma. I got there from being on Thursday at a school in rural Tennessee. And Wednesday, I was also in Tennessee. Well, when I say rural, not really rural. It's just a city of maybe about 50,000 people, which is relatively small by many of the US East and West Coast standards. It's actually a reasonably large place in Tennessee. But I'm doing all of this to try to bridge the urban and rural gap in access for going really, really far in mathematics. So I want to understand, and the best way to understand is to listen to the cultural music.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to say cultural music. There's no standard American South culture. But since the epicenter of my work down there is Nashville, Tennessee, that's the capital of country music.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in fact, yes, I listen to country music all the time, which is maybe not what you'd expect.
Yeah, and do you enjoy it?
I do.
Yeah.
I have actually gotten a huge appreciation for the way that people look at the world. You know, sometimes if you come from a very different culture, you might think, well, those are some strange values. But the more that you embed in, the more you understand, there's a lot that makes sense. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's quite fun.
I also have a soft spot for country. It's
Are
not
you
my
serious?
go-to. It's definitely not, you know, I usually listen to kind of like rock music. If you would, that would be the umbrella that you would put the type of music I would listen to under. But there's just something about a catchy country song. It's just, yeah, it's like you say, it really feels like it's a song of like the people.
Yeah.
It
I
has
appreciate
that
it.
kind of roots to it, yeah.
Cool. Here we go again. 6.
All right.
Okay, we finally got fun. What is fun?
Well, you're going to discover
We're going to
now.
find out what fun means. Okay,
There is
sounds good.
such a range of questions in here as well.
Sounds good. Here you go.
Okay. This is an absolutely excellent question. What is the most reckless thing you've ever done, brackets, that you would be willing to share on camera?
Okay.
Caveat there, of course. This is something,
Yeah. There's
something that comes to mind if someone was to say to you, what is quite a silly, a reckless, an impulsive, not well thought through thing, possibly during your youth, I don't know, that's where most people go, that you could share an interesting story.
Yeah, I mean, there are many things I've probably done. I just one that comes to mind right away. It's not particularly dangerous for me. It's just dangerous for other people. So that's not very good, right? And particularly the reason why this is so important is because the one it was the most dangerous for was my wife. So yeah, this I shouldn't have done this. See, I didn't know any better. Back then, when I was in university, we didn't have a lot of money, and so I was in the habit of going past the electronic waste dumpsters to go and find equipment, because I eventually got enough equipment to assemble a computer. And then I decided,
That's amazing,
I decided, let's make the computer quiet, because you see, back in the old days, computers sounded like jet engines.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So this was a computer for my wife, and we were my girlfriend at the time, right? And I said, okay, I can make it quiet by putting it inside a styrofoam box. So I took some styrofoam and I carved all the things out, and I put this power supply unit and motherboard and all the kit, right? And I just put the whole thing together, and I put the thing in a cardboard box after that. And that was the computer that I built, and she was able to use. It was under her bed, actually, for probably months, maybe a year. That's a fire hazard.
Yeah.
I just didn't think about this at the time. But when you put, America is 120 volts alternating current. But when you put 120 volts alternating current, and back then that was about a 200 or 300 watt device, and you run it into a styrofoam carved out in a cardboard box, that's not a good idea. So don't try that at home.
Yeah.
Fortunately, she didn't die, and fortunately, we didn't burn down anything. So,
Just to emphasize Po's message, please do not try that at home. But something I recommend that you do try at home are the online privacy tools from today's sponsor, DeleteMe. After entering a few key details into the online system, I received my first privacy report listing all of the data brokers that currently have access to my personal information. These brokers harvest the data you enter online and then sell it to the highest bidder. DeleteMe acts on your behalf to request the removal of this data, and they provide updates on the progress with each new privacy report. Their privacy experts continue to monitor sites automatically and will send new removal requests as and when they are needed. I've also found the privacy tools such as email masking and Google search to be particularly helpful. DeleteMe really is a one-stop shop for all of your online privacy needs. If this sounds like something you'd find useful, then head to joindeleteme.com/TomRocks. That's joindeleteme.com/TomRocks, or you can scan the QR code on screen, and by entering the code TOMROCKS, that's one word, TOMROCKS, at the checkout, you'll receive 20% off all DeleteMe consumer plans. With DeleteMe now taking care of all of our online privacy needs, let's head back over to Po and find out exactly how he built this homemade computer. Like, what kind of things could you find and like put together? I'm fascinated by just this concept of, whilst, you know, it makes sense, whilst the whole device might not work and so then is thrown away, there are definitely components that you can recycle, reuse. It's brilliant.
Motherboard, processor, those chips for RAM, random access memory, right? Like a power supply, you name it. You can get all kinds of stuff.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, okay. Love it. That's a great story. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's amazing. All right.
That's just what came to mind first. Here we go. What do we got? Oh, it's another fun. Okay, what are we
the fun part once again.
Okay, here you go.
I'm being very careful to take them from the top. If I gave you $10,000, how would you spend it? And you have to spend it.
Yeah.
Like right now, I give you $10,000 just as a gift, as a present, and you have to spend it. So you can't just save it.
Oh, of course,
It would be the sensible thing to do.
Of course. So I am actually spending amounts like around that amount right now because of all of these outreach activities I'm doing to the American South.
Yeah.
That costs money. In fact, I'm a social entrepreneur, so we make money. I make math classes. We sell the math classes to people who pay for the math classes. Great. A lot of our customers are in Silicon Valley. They're in China. They're in all of the places around the United States where people are traditionally doing lots and lots of math and science and doing well at it.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing with the profits is I'm just driving around and going to school after school after school. In fact, I'm lining up another visit to spend a significant chunk of August. I'd like to spend a significant chunk of August running through rural counties in Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma. That is actually what I would spend it on. All of that travel, all of going into schools. And part of the reason I'm doing this is because I discovered from starting to do that just in the last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, I started to do this with significant intensity. And I found out that in all of these places I went, there were so many clever kids.
Right.
They were actually really clever.
Yeah.
And I could also see that they would want to learn more mathematics, but not everyone has access to be able to be coached and go to whatever height they would want to go to. So furthermore, I also found out that many of those schools, the districts were interested in working together. I've tried working with many other school districts, and I found out that it was really only these that I started going to that I could just walk into the district office and talk to the superintendent's office, because it turns out it was a smaller place.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm very interested. Like one of the biggest things I'm working on right now is to try to unite urban and rural, so to speak, when it comes to science and technology. Yep, I would hit the road and just start going school through the American South.
I'm just intrigued by the let's say the practicality in terms of setting this up. So do you know beforehand which schools to contact, or do you, as you say, is it? So I don't really understand the US system. So if you went to speak to the superintendent, would that then allow you to potentially get contacts within all of the schools within a district? Is that?
So
practically, how would you? So imagine again. Hypothetically, I've given you $10,000. You're going to use this to go on a road trip and visit all of these places. How do you actually set up you going into the schools?
Yeah, so the area of mathematics that I spent a lot of time on before I got distracted with all this other stuff was graph theory and network theory. So when I look at the world, I don't see a 3D geometry. I see the graph theoretic geometry.
It's just a giant graph.
It's a giant graph.
Yeah.
And so the way I do this is I go into places based on the fact that I have a relationship. But also, it turns out that every place I go into, people love it. And then the next thing that happens is they say, oh, I know the next county over.
I see.
Now the graph expands, right? So in order for this to work, it has to be that every visit is one where all the students love it, the teachers love it, the superintendent says, this looks interesting. And I say, okay, well, if we want to work together, which I want to work with you, I'm going to give you free classes. In order for this to work, I need to have about 25 kids who are all about 11 years old from your area because I want to build a cohort. In order to get this to happen, do you know any neighboring county people? You see, it's all about aligning incentives.
Absolutely.
Because by that point, they want in. It actually costs them nothing. So by that point, they want in. And they know that in order for them to get in, they need to help me get the critical mass. Incentives align. They introduce me to the neighboring counties. And so this starts to be contagious. Yeah, so the practicality is this first trip, actually, it happened because on my last year's tour of the area, I happened to meet a person who was one of the major donors to Middle Tennessee State University, which is a university outside of Nashville. And he donated to the Honors College building. So he really cares about education as well. And so he helped to introduce me to someone who graph theory, walked along the way, and we were able to get a bunch of places on this last visit I went down there. It was good. It was a good impression. So now they're interested in introducing more places. Oklahoma, why I was over there, is because I happened to get to know the people who lead and used to lead the Oklahoma School of Science and Math. So Oklahoma has a school focused on, I'll translate to ages, 16 and 17, is that right? Yeah, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. Yeah. It's grade 11 and 12, but I know everyone's from different parts of the world if you're watching this.
Yes.
So I'll say 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And it's a residential school, so people actually live there. But they're always trying to get more people from across the entire state of Oklahoma, including rural, to get in. And it turns out that their previous head was crazy. He would hit the road. This was a decade or more before I was doing this stuff. He would hit the road in his car, and he's visited almost all of the 70 counties in Oklahoma. He's visited 300 schools. Yeah. And so he has a network. And I got to know him, right? So through him and his network, that's how I got to the Oklahoma school.
I see.
The world is all about graph theory.
Yeah. I just love how, like, it's always fascinating hearing you explain these things, because you've just, to me, I'm just immediately seeing how it's a maths problem and how you've solved it like a maths problem, which is, it's just genius.
That's exactly how I look at it. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant, right.
Oh, it's here.
Yeah,
okay,
let's see if we can get the final part.
Yeah, I want to get into the other thing. Oh no, what is it? Now we gotta look. Ooh. It's a 4! I just want to take out only one. I guess if I took out more than one, we'd just put one back. Is this 1 or 2?
That's 1. Did you have any pets growing up?
I did not have any pets growing up, so I guess that's a simple answer. No,
yeah, do you have any now, or have you just not?
No, I have 3 kids.
Okay. Which, interpret that however you wish, viewers. Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on. I love it.
No, are they quite young?
My kids?
Yeah, just...
Well, the youngest one's 11.
Okay.
She's still cute.
Yeah.
She's great. The middle...
Not quite reached teenage years when they become less cute.
She's wonderful. Actually, I take her along on some of my trips. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna take her around on a swing around the U.S. in June. So it's great. The middle one's 16.
Okay.
You don't describe that as cute. But he's great. He's a high school student. And the oldest one's 18. Okay. She's a university student. She's in college right now.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay,
let's try. Give me a 1 or a 2. What is that? Okay, we're gonna call that a 1.
It was definitely.
We're gonna call that a 1. Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Here you go.
Thank you. Okay. It's always nice to get the full set. Ooh, okay. Which maths topic do you find most difficult? I guess either currently or perhaps when you were studying it for the first time. Is there a particular topic where you just thought this was particularly tough?
Okay.
When you were learning about it.
For me, all of the math topics, the difficulty or the easiness of them was directly correlated with whether I had somebody around who could explain the intuition. There's intuition behind everything. And maybe not only intuition. I didn't necessarily need them to explain the intuition. I think I needed them to articulate why they cared about it. Because then I would care about it. I think what I mean is, if I care enough about a subject, I figure I should be able to get through and understand what's going on just by breaking it down into the smallest possible pieces and figuring it out. Because I think there's no reason why you would develop an area of mathematics unless you had a goal. The only problem is that sometimes from the student perspective, it is entirely unclear what that goal is.
Yeah.
So I still remember when I first encountered group theory, groups, rings, fields. I was in a 10th grade, so I was probably 15, 16 years old, 16 years old, I think, at that time. Yeah. I remember thinking, why does anybody care about this stuff? I was doing the high school maths Olympiad problems, and there would be geometry stuff, there would be algebra stuff, which is really analysis. But the high school Olympiads is really analysis. But as I was doing all these things, somebody came along and said, well, a group, there's these axioms. And I remember thinking, I am never going to study pure mathematics. Why would you do this? But then when I went to university, there was a very, very nice and very, very experienced. He had been around for quite a while. He had taught many, many times. He was very passionate. He worked on algebra. He was an algebra researcher. And I took that abstract algebra class from him. And I thought, oh, I see. This is actually quite interesting. There's a reason why you're studying this, and also there are certain elements of it that are beautiful. I don't actually need that there's a practical application.
Yeah.
I just need that there's something that would capture a human being's attention. Okay? It's like if you look at beautiful art, it doesn't have to be that there was a purpose. It's just that it fascinated someone.
Yeah.
But I need to know why it fascinates someone. Then I'm good. Yeah, so my answer is, honestly, the way I look at it is, if anyone in the world has ever done it before, it should be human. It is humanly possible. So if I just work hard enough, I should be able to penetrate it. Well, okay, if it's taught in school. If it's taught in college or school, undergraduate, graduate school, those are all probably penetrable. If it's only done by a few Fields medalists or Nobel Prize winners, I'm not sure. But if it's taught in an undergraduate level, there's no reason why I can't just go slow enough. And I think a lot of students sometimes feel that this is some subject is impenetrable. Usually what that means is that the basic mathematical foundation of understanding that they have is missing something. That's a symptom of a deeper problem that you should go and fix. Effectively, the way I feel is I should understand everything I do all the way down to being able to explain it in first principles.
Yeah.
If I can't, then I don't understand it. With that discipline, you can understand anything.
It's as always, fascinating to hear you explain your process with these things, because for me, I remember learning linear algebra first year of university, and I didn't like it because I didn't get it. Because of what you've just said. I was just like, so we have these things called matrices and vectors, and then we have these things called linear transformations. I just didn't know why any of this was important or relevant or had any... It just felt like a list of definitions and theorems without any purpose. Exactly as you say. And now I teach linear algebra to my first years, and I love it. And I stress to them that it turns out basically every bit of maths you do is kind of linear algebra in disguise. Right?
Yes.
And it's just about emphasizing to them why it's important to think about.
Yeah. So I don't know how it works in the UK, but in the United States, when people go to university, every professor has office hours. Do you guys do this too?
We don't.
Oh,
we don't have office hours specifically.
But you have tutorials or something.
We have tutorials. So
that's still good.
So the students here would have, if they're taking the linear algebra course, so every 2 weeks, we would have an hour of just 2 students and me, and we go through the problems together.
That's good. So my advice is, if you're ever wondering, why is this? Student, just ask the professor, why are we learning this? Like, why is this important? How does this fit together? Then you'll get a pretty good answer, because I think most researchers do have a reason why they're doing the research.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Otherwise, you wouldn't choose this job.
Yes.
You'd be working in the city, so you call it.
Yes.
And making way more money.
You would indeed, yes. We definitely don't do this for the money, that's for sure.
That's right.
For sure. Okay. Brilliant, right. We've had our first maths one. Let's continue.
All right.
Give you a little bit of space.
Whoa. We got a 6. More fun.
More fun, right.
Okay.
Let's see what else is going to be. So as I say, there's such a wide variety in here. Of
this looks like one. Here you go.
Thank you. I like this one a lot. It's probably my favorite question in here, as the regular viewers will know. If a film was to be made about your life, who would you choose to play you?
Oh my god.
Something you've almost certainly never thought
I
about.
have. So honestly, I've never thought about this.
No,
I've never
yeah,
thought
that's
about
why
this.
it's such a great question. Because apart from one time, I remember a guest. It was a guy on YouTube called Mike Boyd, and I said this, and he just immediately deadpan went, Arnold Schwarzenegger, just straight away. And you just didn't see the result. So other than Mike, everyone else has clearly never ever thought about this, and that's why it's quite a fun question.
See, the problem is that I don't watch enough films to know how to answer. But I also will say, of the films that I've seen, I'm honestly not sure. I can let me describe the characteristics of that.
Okay,
right?
yeah,
The characteristics that I would want.
You can let us know who you think would be perfect for this role in the comments. There we go. We'll let the viewers pick the person if you describe the characteristics.
Yeah. The characteristics I would want would be, well, you see, I'm describing characteristics that aren't necessarily physical. The characteristics I would want is somebody who, the most important one is somebody who's curious as the actor to try to figure out what the heck is going on in my head. Because a lot of the behaviors that I do, when you finally understand why I'm doing all of the things, they make sense. But if you don't have that deep understanding, it's like, well, he does this, he does this, he does this, he did some math research over here, he's running around Tennessee over there, right? Like he did some maths Olympiad coaching. Maths Olympiad coaching and running around Tennessee saying I'm Mr. Po are totally different things, right? So, yeah, I think what I want is an actor who would spend the time to really try to figure out what's going on and what's the purpose. I don't have a very strong opinion of what they have to look like, but I figure if they actually deeply understood the purpose, then we're good. And I say this, I think this is very important because sometimes there's a stereotype of what a mathematician is. And I think it's very dangerous if you make videos or films, not videos, if you make films where the actor hasn't really gotten into the head.
Yeah.
I do think, for example, is it called, what was it called? There was some chess one with Anna something.
The Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit. Yes. Was that her name? Was her name Anna? I don't even know the name.
I think, is it like Anna Taylor-Joy?
Oh, that sounds
Something
familiar.
like
that sounds familiar.
I think it's that.
So my understanding is she actually tried to get in the head of the chess people. Yeah. And I think that's also why that movie, I think, had quite good reception. Right? What I don't want is another movie about a math person where they somehow portray him or her as insane.
Yes. Okay. So we want like a solid method actor who's really going to come and shadow you and drive around rural Tennessee for months on end to learn like what's actually going on.
Yes, because I think that's actually important because like the variety of different things that I see in a one particular day is actually quite broad. I find it very invigorating. For example, yesterday. Yeah, I flew into here yesterday. I flew into the UK. I arrived yesterday morning. So I landed at 7 a.m. off of a plane from Washington, D.C. Up until the last minute in Washington, D.C., I had been talking to parents because I was at the United States Middle School Math Counts National Finals. So I was talking to all those parents and I saw, okay, got to go to the airport. Go as fast as you can to get to the airport legally. Go as fast as you can to the airport. And then fly over here. I slept on the plane, got off the plane, and I went to Westminster School. Talked to a bunch of teachers and then taught a bunch of students. Then I walked over to Parliament, House of Lords, because there was a launch event held by, what is it called? I think Purposeful Ventures may have been involved, XTX may have been involved, but there was a big study commissioned to think about what to do with mathematics education in the age of AI, and they were presenting it at the House of Lords in a meeting, and I was one of the speakers. Okay, did that. After I finished that, I jumped on another train, rushed over to Eton, because I was doing a class for students. I also did a session for the Math Society. Those 2 events. And I also had dinner with them, so we had a chance to talk. And then I got back to my room, took a shower, and took 2 calls. That's a night. Right? That's a day. So to me, I would want that whoever did this tried to understand, appreciate, see how all these different things fit together, and then they might have the same perspective.
Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah. Do we do another?
Yeah.
Okay. 2. Okay, we got another math one.
We do indeed.
Do you say math or maths here?
There's an S.
Oh, there's an S. Of course there's an S.
We're in Oxford. We've got the S on there.
Is this 1 or is this 2?
It's still just the 1.
Okay.
What modules did you take during your degree?
Well, okay, so I took a few degrees. So I did a bachelor's degree in the United States at Caltech. I did a master's degree, part 3 of the mathematical tripos over in Cambridge. And I did a PhD in Princeton. And in these different ones, I had different focus. So in undergraduate, I did the standard stuff. I actually took as few classes as I could get away with.
Okay, in order to still get the math major.
Yeah. But that's because I wanted to understand everything. So interestingly enough, before I went to college, I was talking to my dad, and I think my dad shared a piece of advice. My dad has a PhD in statistics. And the piece of advice he gave is, he said when he went to do his PhD, he asked his professors at Berkeley, what is better, 3 A's or 2 A pluses? And the professors gave a very clear answer. The professor gave a very clear answer, 2 A pluses, because you thoroughly understand what's going on. So I kept that with me. So that's why I took as little as possible. When I was taking all these classes, I actually would sit down with the book and attempt to prove the theorem myself. You can only do this if you're not taking too many classes at the same time. When you take too many at the same time, you're just letting it come in and you're just saying, okay, I guess if you say so. But oh no, I wanted to be able to say, it's because that. Honestly, I didn't even read their proofs so much because I found it, I'm not sure about you, you might be much better at this than I am, but I have a very hard time just reading other people's mathematics.
If it's good mathematics, I don't mind.
Okay. But I often need to have fought with it enough myself to have an intuition for why the heck would you define this thing?
Yeah. No, I definitely, yes, I do agree with you. If I'm reading something and they have defined or they've gone down a certain route, then I agree. I will be, why have you done this? Like, yeah.
Yes.
So yes.
Okay. So this
I do get that feeling.
Yeah, so what I'm discussing here are, these are somehow the minimum, it's roughly the minimum class, not exactly, but it's quite a low number of classes it takes to graduate from Caltech with an undergraduate in math. There was a class on group theory, ring theory, field theory, abstract algebra taught by this wonderful person, got me interested in being a pure math major. Then I also took a linear algebra class, which is also quite fun because I had taken a computational linear algebra class before at when I was in high school at the local university. And this class that I took at Caltech, I think there was not so much computation. In fact, the textbook was even physically smaller than the other one because you don't have to write the matrices. You just have letters, capital A, capital B.
I was about to say, it's always A, yeah.
always A. So that was great. And then I took some other classes like real analysis, complex analysis, some representation theory, I think was one of them. Probability. I was quite interested in probability as well, so I took that class. Then when I did a master's degree, or the part 3 over in Cambridge, I took more probability, and I even took a class with one of your colleagues who we coincidentally just had lunch with, Oliver Riordan. At the time, I think he was much more junior because that was 20 years ago. So that was 20 years ago. And that class was called Probabilistic Combinatorics, which I found fascinating.
He still teaches that very course in Oxford. Probabilistic combinatorics every year.
I wonder if the notes are the same. I probably still have his old notes. Because the style of the professors at Cambridge, every single one of those professors that I took classes from, I remember being quite fascinated by the fact that they made their own notes. See, we talked about book earlier. I talked about a book I used in college. I was used to every professor following a textbook, but every Cambridge professor did not have a textbook. Is that normal here?
Yes.
Oxford too?
Yeah.
No book. So you just make your own thing, right?
There is, so a standard course, the lecturer will have their own notes, and then there will usually be a set of typed up, actually neat notes in a PDF document, which is going to be very similar to the professor's notes, but that's usually that one has kind of stood the test of time.
Yes.
So if it's like a first year course in linear algebra, the notes go back, were maybe first typed up 20 years ago. It's not changed too much.
I see.
But if the particular lecturer that year wants to focus on a slightly different bit, they might just change a section or a chapter within those notes.
I see.
And then there will be a list of recommended texts. So you can do, and I actually did this, and this is often with some of my students, my advice to them is, you don't need to worry about additional reading around the subject. Like if they're struggling or it's too much, I'm just like, if you just focus entirely and understand everything in the lecture notes,
that's right,
you will pass the course. Because the exam and everything, the content is based around the professor's, the lecturer's own notes.
Okay.
So the textbooks are suggested reading if you want to go a bit further, or sometimes if you've not understood a topic and you want to get a different perspective. That's what they're used for, but the learning happens purely from the professor's, the lecturer's own note.
Okay. Yeah, I was really fascinated by this, and I thought it was quite neat because then the professor had their own imprint on the whole thing. Right. Another class I remember taking that was quite influential in my own life is I took a class called something like mathematical finance, or like the mathematical financial modeling, something like that. Because before that, I didn't even know that there was something called the city, Wall Street. I didn't know you could use math to make money. I actually didn't know that. Okay, so I took this class, and I still remember at one point there was a special presentation. It was optional. It was in the evening. He brought somebody who worked for some financial company who came in and gave a talk. And at some point, they mentioned something about how you get paid a ton of money. And I thought, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do the next summer because I had already been accepted to Princeton.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to Princeton. I had this extra summer after Cambridge. And I said, I got it. I'm going to go and try to work in this like finance field and see what it is. And I applied to every bank I could think of, and I got rejected from all of them. Except there was one guy I knew who had gone to do this finance, and he was working at a hedge fund called D.E. Shaw, which is actually quite famous for being hard to get a job at because they look for strange things. And he said, I'll give you a recommendation. I said, okay. And so I got an interview. Amazing. All the other ones ignored me. Yeah. This is also how I learned that network is actually important. Okay, so we started this interview, and the interviewer asked me, okay, do you know anything about stock options? I said, oh, yeah. There's like put options and call options. And he said, okay, let's not talk about stock options. Because the answer is, you clearly don't know anything about stock options. Okay? So then he said, suppose you have 13 coins and a balance, and one of the coins is heavier than all the others. Okay, we went down that track. I eventually ended up working at D.E. Shaw for a summer. In fact, I even toyed around with the whole finance direction. Eventually, I'm very happy with what I did today. But anyway, that let me experience early enough in my life that there exists such a thing. Oh, it's attractive. I tried it, and I realized, I like what I do here. And since I know what the other thing is, I never have any kind of regrets of, oh, what if I'd done the other thing? You know, sometimes people will have a regret. It could have been better over there. Grass might be greener on the other side. Well, I made an informed decision. Okay, so that was that. When I was in PhD, I at that point was focusing on combinatorics, specifically probabilistic combinatorics. And
inspired by Oliver, clearly.
Oliver's class, excellent. And also my PhD advisor, Benny Sudikov, was very, very supportive. I actually think some of the best classes I ever took were the classes that he taught.
Right.
So I took some classes. One of them was about linear algebra and generally algebraic methods, mostly linear algebra methods in combinatorics. Fascinating. I love it whenever you solve one kind of math with another kind of math.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, yeah, absolutely everything, but you found your path through probabilistic combinatorics.
I did, and that's what I did as my research career for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I still, to this day, find it fascinating that you can prove that combinatorial objects exist simply by doing some random thing, and it has a probability bigger than 0 of it existing. Actually, this is something I often say to my students, so I'll just do it here because I think it's fun, right?
Yeah.
Because in probabilistic combinatorics, sometimes we go and we construct something by saying, oh, suppose I want to have a graph or a network. Suppose I want to have I'll say graph. I want a graph. And suppose it's supposed to be such that there is not a huge number of vertices where every pair is connected. That's called a clique.
Yep.
And it's also not supposed to have a huge number of vertices where none of the pairs are connected.
Yep.
So suppose I want to avoid both of these at the same time. What's a good way to construct the graph? If you're not very smart and you just connect everything, you did a very poor job because there's a big thing all connected.
Yep.
Turns out to be quite hard to construct this, and Paul Erdős came up with a way called flip coins. And so
it determines whether or not it's connected by flipping the coin.
Yeah, and you flip the coins. And then you go and prove that the probability that it has the property that you want, actually you can prove the probability tends to 1 as the number of vertices, as your objects get larger and larger. Which then the students often, actually when I taught it this semester, the students said, wait, if it's so likely, then could we get a better bound or something? And that's what I showed. I said, you know, it's interesting. Some things are very likely and actually still very hard to construct. For example, give me a random number between 0 and 1.
And 0.142.
Okay, so that was a rational number. And the probability of selecting a rational number between 0 and 1 is actually 0. So we have just witnessed a miracle. We just witnessed a miracle. Probability 0 event has happened in this room because I asked for a number between 0 and 1, and you gave me something from a countable set among the uncountable set of real numbers. So let's try again. Can you give me a random? Give me a number between 0 and 1.
1 divided by root 2.
1 divided by root 2. If I was typing a text to somebody else, I would type O-N-E space D-I-V-I-D-E-D space by root 2. You just gave me a finite length string from a finite alphabet. So the alphabet consists of my text keyboard, which is A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
up to Z, the digits 0 to whatever, as spacebar. It's a finite alphabet, at most 100 different things I could send for each character, and you gave me a finite length string of stuff. Did you know that the set of all finite length strings, I'm talking to the audience, did you know that the set of all finite length strings from an alphabet of 100 characters is also countable? It's because the set of strings of length 1 is 100. Suppose my character is from 100. So I have from 100, of length 2 is from 100 squared, of length 3 is from 100 cubed, and of finite length is actually, you can do a bijection, you can do a one-to-one mapping to the natural numbers, which means that that also has probability 0. It's another miracle! So, wait a second. So if you want to get out of this, you have to give me a non-finite long answer. I'm just trying to explain, like, it's quite interesting that there exist numbers that you cannot describe, right? Effectively what this is there are a lot of numbers out there. And every number that you can describe in a finite length string is in that countable set.
So there are...
There's like a bazillion other ones.
Uncountably infinite many numbers I cannot describe.
That you cannot describe. Right. And so that's why I think it's so fascinating. There's this probabilistic combinatorics. You can prove that probabilities are huge, and I can't even put my finger on any of them.
Because you kind of answered what was going to be my follow-up question, which was, do you now teach probabilistic combinatorics? But you just said that you kind of, because you've kind of gone through this. Oliver taught it to you, as we mentioned, my colleague, and then you focused on it for your PhD and your doctorate. So are you now kind of teaching
It's one of the things. It's one of the things, right? I like to weave in things like that into all of my general teaching. My big teaching that I do, the thing that I guess most people know me for at my university, is every fall I teach a class called How to Solve Problems That You've Never Seen Before. Actually,
so it's much more general problem solving rather than a very specific, here is a topic in abstract algebra.
That's right. Every single week has a different theme. It's actually patterned after, it's inspired by the Putnam Mathematical Competition. And that's a contest where you have to write proofs. And so every single week we have a different focus. One week might be number theory, one week might be calculus, one week might be linear algebra. And so I'll just have this bunch of weird, fun problems that I accumulated from somewhere. And the way I teach that class is I just put the question on the board and I say, let's do question 4. Here it is. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you. I might not remember how to do it. When I teach the advanced section of that class, I actually often don't know how to do it. Because when I teach that class at Carnegie Mellon, there are probably about 15 students in that room. They're really smart. Usually they figure it out. Occasionally I get stuck and then they find out, man, the professor really didn't prepare for class. He didn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue how to do this problem.
Brilliant. But the probability of that happening is...
Fortunately, the probability of that happening is quite low because the students are strong enough. And usually, you see, while they're brainstorming, I'm also thinking, this is what makes teaching still fun for me, by the way. I don't think I would enjoy following a PowerPoint and just repeating things and doing the same thing as usual. I find the vitality of, I don't know what's going to happen next. Now it's exciting. I got skin in the game to go and figure this out.
No, interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll start bringing that into my approach to teaching. Excuse to prepare less as advice.
You got it.
Awesome. All right, should we roll again?
Yes, sounds good. Here we go. Oh, it's a 6.
It's a 6.
We're having a lot of fun. Okay.
Yeah.
So far, I don't think we've gotten a 5.
I haven't been keeping track. I'm like, we're in all the jars. But I think you might be right. I think we are missing the 5. Okay, what would be the title of your biography? I guess something you've almost certainly never thought about.
So let me be honest. I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Love it,
That's not the title.
You're still figuring it out.
Maybe that's the title. That would be great. Maybe that's the title.
That's it.
But honestly, I'm still figuring it out. I mean, if you talked to me in this kind of an interview 20 years ago, I would be a Part 3 of the Math Tripos Cambridge student. Not really sure what I would do, just interested in hard things, interesting people, right? And then if you went and found me 5 years after that, I think I was just finishing my PhD. I was going gung-ho on research, and I was
Yeah.
having a lot of fun, by the way. I really enjoy figuring out new things. They're actually truths. They're fundamental truths in the world. But then 5 years after that, if you found me, then I think I would be talking about coaching the US Maths Olympiad team. Of course, I was still doing research at that time, but I was also starting to work on how to get way more people to be quite good at maths. If you found me 5 years after that, actually now I can't do math. You see. So fortunately, the people who are listening can probably add. I probably already went to 20. But in any case, like the life changed very dramatically. In the last 5 years, I've done things from fighting COVID to coming up with ways to teach people, to traveling all around the country, to going to areas which were underserved in mathematics. I don't know. And in fact, one of the big things I'm working on now, why I'm reaching out to rural and why I'm trying to connect everyone together, I'm also following the rapid rise of AI with great concern for the future of humanity. I have these thoughts because I see so much of humanity by going around.
Yeah.
The personal meeting of people, not only maths people like at this college, but also really general people. It really makes me quite concerned. In fact, my big goal right now is just to build a more thoughtful world. That's actually how I describe it to the general public. Thoughtful world, a world where the word thoughtful I choose on purpose. Thoughtful is supposed to sound like that proper English word with one L, but I spell it with two L's and two words. Because I want to emphasize that one should be considerate of what other people may wish to have, but one must also be good at thinking, or else you will not be effective in doing something good for other people. So right now, actually, a lot of the work I'm doing is how do we actually build a thoughtful world? I am actually not only about mathematics. In fact, I also think it's now super important for young people to want to help other people and to enjoy other people's company. We're moving into a world where it's more and more lonely and isolated.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The answer is I don't know what I'll do when I grow up yet. I'm 42
And that's the
right
title
now.
of the biography.
Yeah, there you go. There you
I
go.
still don't know what I'll do when I grow up.
You got it.
Yeah, no, it does feel like even just when we spoke, 7-8 months ago in Heidelberg, it even feels like, so we were talking about AI, because of course that's why you were in Heidelberg, and you'd mentioned this idea about the online classes and teaching the students to then run those classes, who then teach the younger students, and this kind of idea about making a more thoughtful world. But even now it feels like this idea between the urban and rural communities has sort of been developed in the last few months.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say a big part of that is because I actually went to a rural community in Montana in December. So that's after we filmed.
Yeah.
And I remember I was fascinated. It was so great because the people were authentically curious, clever, you name it. It got me to appreciate that if you do chores on a farm, you learn more than hanging out with your iPad. Sometimes people make a stereotype that people who grow up on a farm, they don't know as much. Actually, from my observation, the children on the farms might have more intellectual stimulation due to what they're normally doing than people who are plopped in front of a TV or a...
I would agree with that 100%. Yeah, I often have spoken many like friends and colleagues about this. Sort of, I feel very fortunate to have grown up. So I was born in 1989, so I kind of grew up in the 90s, very much millennial through and through. But I like the fact that when I was 5 or 6, we didn't have screens, video games. I would build tree houses. Yeah, terribly. But I would go out with hammer and nail, and I'd hammer some planks of wood into a tree and call it a tree house, right?
Yes.
And so I really liked that was still a huge part of my childhood, which you just don't seem to see anymore with children today, because all of the entertainment is done through a screen.
Yes.
I feel... I definitely agree with you there. I think there is a lot to be said about what you can actually learn by just interacting with the real world as you're growing up. Or even as an adult. Where you learn that actually just in front of the screen. Yeah. Fascinating. Okay, right, let's go again.
Come on, let's get a math one. 3, more general. Okay. What's this? Ooh, how many is this? Here we go. There we go. Okay.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Ooh. Well, you're talking to the guy who would like to live everywhere.
Yes.
So honestly, if I could live anywhere in the world, I would live in a different place every single day. Okay. This is actually what I would do.
Yeah.
Because to me, I love the variety of seeing this.
Yep.
This. To me, I mean, I was just at the United States National Math Competition, and as one part of it, a middle school competition, and as one part of it at the beginning, they introduced the delegation from every state. And they play some music, and the people run in like they do it kind of in a theatrical type of way.
Yeah.
And they're all carrying a banner of like Alaska and whatever. At this point in the US, I've been to every state except Alaska, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Idaho.
I mean, at this point, you
That's
need
it.
to just finish the list.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right. You're right. And I'm looking forward to it. I think I'll be able to hit Idaho this summer. We'll see.
Yeah.
But as they were all running through, I was able to picture, like in each of those states that's coming, like people, places. And as that was going through, I was just thinking, wow, what a wonderful variety in this country of foods, of people. So yeah, my preferred is I could not possibly anchor down in one place. The world is too rich and too interesting. That's my dream.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, actually. I think I have several places that I really, really enjoy, and of course Oxford is definitely one of them. But I agree with you. I think being forced to stay in one particular place would be horrible. Right? That would not be ideal. Yeah. No, and interestingly, I was in Alaska for the first time last month. So I actually did my first trip to Alaska.
I see.
And that was, it was fascinating, brilliant. Did lots of hiking in all the forests and national parks. It was great.
Okay,
Beautiful
I'm looking
place.
for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go. What do we got? 4. Okay.
3 in a row.
Okay. What's this one? Here we go.
Do you have any nicknames?
Nicknames. The main one is just Po. But here's why Po is a nickname. It's because I'm Po-Shen Loh.
Yep.
My brother's name is Po-Ru Loh, and my sister's name is Po-Ling Loh. So in fact, Po is a very bad thing to say if you ever have multiple together. And in fact, like sometimes people call my other siblings Po, and it gets really confusing when we're all in the same place. Right. So that happens to be the nickname. I guess I used it because it seemed to be very efficient and easy way to introduce to people, and so yeah. But that's it.
Okay, so the name is already a nickname. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's right.
But no school nicknames or anything like that you can remember.
No, nobody did. Yeah.
Okay. So I used to get because my initials are TC, Tom Crawford, and there's a very old cartoon. It's famous at least in the UK called Top Cat.
Oh, I don't know this.
It's about a cat, and like he has a gang of other cats, and they get in trouble with Officer Dibble, the local policeman. And,
okay.
it's like a children's cartoon. And anyway, they call him TC.
Yeah.
His name is Top Cat.
There you go.
And so my uncle mainly used to call me Top Cat all the time.
I see.
That it that is the only one I have. So whenever I'm playing a video game and you need like a pseudonym, I'm always Top Cat. That's my like go-to.
Very nice. All right, let's go. 3. We are having really bad luck with the 1s and 2s. Okay, here we go.
Ooh. What do you like to do most in your free time?
People. If I have any choice, I like to talk to people. So this is one reason why, if you follow my social media, you'll notice that occasionally there are weird posts which are just like a random picture of a city, maybe the name of the city and tagging the city. And that often will happen like in the beginning of the day or in the middle of the day. That actually is because I have nothing planned later in that night. But the way the algorithms work is they start to trigger and notify people who live in that city in the sense that it pops on their feed. Then they send me messages saying, hey, how are you?
Oh, wow. Okay, so you actually use the algorithm
I do.
That's brilliant.
That's why I tagged with the city name. So, I mean, with my
I've
free
never
time-
thought about that. That's genius. I'm learning so much today.
Yeah, so that's how you can tell. Because sometimes I'll write some kind of a story about what I'm doing. Sometimes there's literally nothing. It's just like, boom.
I'm just here,
That's effectively what it is. And that's because my preference, if I have really free time, is to catch up with somebody or get to know new people. I have a philosophy that I really don't enjoy eating alone. I feel like if I'm eating, I would like to use that time to talk, because it takes time to eat. May as well talk to people. Yeah. Sometimes in the United States, what I do is many of our universities have dining halls which are open to the public. You just have to pay. So I will just go to the university dining hall and just sit there and just eat lunch or dinner and talk to random people who might come up. So this is what I do for fun.
That sounds. Again, I'm saying this a lot. I'm gonna use that. That's genius. I'm gonna. When I'm in somewhere, I'm gonna post. Yeah, and I'm gonna. I like that idea as well. So go to the local university and just have a meal and see who you meet, see who you talk. Yeah,
That's right. Because I find that this also helps me keep a understanding of what people's minds, where their minds are at. I care a lot about this because I care about the social issues and the thoughtful world and the jobs and the after AI.
Yeah.
So I find that by being able to talk to university students, you can have a pulse of what is the job market right now? Like, what are people's dreams and hopes and fears? Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Okay.
Now let's
get on maths.
Let's get a 1 or a 2. All right, here we go. 1 or 2. How's the luck?
I mean, it's a 5, but I'm going to say it's a 2.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
Because none of you on camera can see, so that is totally a 2.
That's a good point. We should never have said what it was. Okay, here we go.
All right. So let's end with the best jar. Oh, this is just the best ending question. It's difficult to answer, but it's great. Why do you enjoy maths?
Ooh, okay. I enjoy, just as I explained this thing of jumping onto a platform and getting there, I enjoy whenever there was some cleverness. I love cleverness.
Yeah.
Some people have said that mathematicians are really lazy people.
I think that is true. Yeah.
That is me. I have another friend, he's a computer scientist, and I think his girlfriend or wife or him, or told him or something like that, and same with me, or observed about him, which is, if there's something he can do in a routine way, if there's a way to do it cleverly, but it takes longer and more effort, not more effort, but takes longer to find, he will do that, because he just can't bring himself to do the routine thing. So what I love about mathematics is every moment when something looks like it would have been routine meaning boring and just a bunch of steps, but instead you find out, oh, wow. Like a classic example is, there was my linear algebra professor from when I was in high school. I went to a local university, at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. On the midterm exam, one of the questions was find the determinant of the 7x7 matrix.
And you could do it by hand, but obviously...
You could do it by hand, but obviously one of the two of the rows were the same. And so the answer is 0, because it's linearly dependent, right? Yeah. And I just love the fact that an n factorial calculation can be reduced. Well, actually, okay, this is maybe getting more deep into the weeds, but the general fact is every determinant you can solve by Gaussian elimination.
Yes.
So in fact, that n factorial computation, because the number of terms in a determinant is actually n factorial. If you go and write down...
It's huge, yeah.
Yeah, all the different collections of products you're putting together. Yep. However, there is a polynomial time algorithm that you can use to do n factorial things, to do the equivalent of an n factorial summand, and that's spectacular. So for me, mathematics is a source of all of these things. I eventually now solve real-world problems, but I often try to see if there's some neat observation or insight, like if I'm trying to reach out to rural schools in the United States. What do you use? Graph theory, right? And you just start to think, are there insights that we can use? That is what makes mathematics so beautiful and fun to me.
Yeah, and I think the example there that you mentioned of reaching out to the schools, I think that's like a perfect example, because just like you could compute a 7x7 determinant, you could have reached out, you could have got a list of schools online and you could have reached out to every individual school. It would have worked, it would have just taken a very long time, and it's not particularly fun or...
Yes.
But as you said, if you turn it into a graph theory problem, you're just looking for who is the central node who has all the connections, and you happen to know that person, and
that's right.
And that's how it works.
That's right. That's right.
I think as well as the joy that we get as mathematicians from spotting those clever ways to do problems, I think, as I'm sure you'll agree, it teaches you how to do that in a real world problem, doesn't it? How can you spot those slightly more creative ways to do clever things?
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant, it's brilliant. Well, as always, Po, it's been a genuine pleasure. Thank you so much for coming to Oxford.
Oh, wow. Yes, my pleasure.
Especially with now we know that it was quite testing for you on the platforms.
I made it.
Yeah, running across platforms. So no, thank you for answering the questions, agreeing to come back and do another video. Thank you to all of you for watching as always. If you're new to the Math Speed Dating series and you want more of this kind of video, I think there are like on the order of 10 of these videos now with all different guests, both from YouTube and maths, and also Oxford as well. And the final thing, as usual, is if you have enjoyed this, then please do subscribe to the channel, share, like, you know the drill by now. So again, Perry, thank you.
My pleasure.
And I'll see you all very soon.